Welcome to the No Like Trust podcast. I am your host, Christine George, and I was actually going to sing Guess Who's Back? Betty's back.
It's me.
Guess
It's
who's back?
me.
She's back. And today we're talking about the power of pause. And it's a great topic, especially right now, given that I think so many people are sort of not even easing back into the hustle, but they are definitely jumping back into the hustle post-pandemic. Events are on, in-person meetings are on, everything is happening, and sort of, I think we're all expecting to get back to the way things were, and which is, something we totally appreciated, having that pause when the pandemic happened. So Betty's going to talk about the power of pause, what it is, why it's important, and how it can help you in not just your life, but in your business as well. So welcome back, my friend.
I'm excited to be here. I miss you.
I miss you too. And I love, she's got bangs. She's got, different hair color. You are looking great.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So let's just dive right in. What does it mean? What does the power of pause mean?
So, yeah, that's a great question, because that can mean 100 different things. And you mentioned, the pandemic, and I wasn't even thinking of talking about that, but that gave us a little feel of slowing down and how it could be, and how it could, help us in our personal and business lives. It wasn't the way we wanted, to get that realization, but taking that long pause, I think it gave a lot of us time to reflect and think about how are we going to be going forward. For me, I decided that I need to do this on a regular basis. And as a matter of fact, right now, I'm just coming out of that stage. So there's power in taking a break from your norm, whatever your norm is. There's power in taking time to reflect, look at what's working, what's not working, who you're spending your time with, what you're spending your time doing, who you're surrounding yourself with. It's just, taking the time to focus on what's most important in all aspects of your life. And I really feel like this is something that we need to do on a regular basis.
So you just said you just came out of your pause, or I like to say this time of year, your hibernation, right? Like,
yes,
that's what bears do, right? They hibernate in the winter. So talk a little more about what that was for you, and why was it so important?
So for me, my thought process is, how can you intentionally move forward if you're constantly on the move? Remember my word of the year, it was pivot, a big year of change for me. But how can I incorporate those changes if I don't take the time to reflect on what's happening in my life now and what I need to change in order to go in the direction that I want to go in? So, to be intentional, to make those changes, you need to sit back and take that time. Otherwise, nothing is going to change. The days, the time, it just flies by, and you get to the end of the year and you're like, where did the time go? What did I do? And for me, it's important to be intentional with, what I'm doing on a daily basis to get me to where I want to be.
So you have things that you do on a daily basis. You have bigger things you do, like you just came back from Florida, or maybe you're still there. Can you give us some examples of things you do in your day-to-day life, maybe quarterly, maybe biannually? Like what are some of the specific things you do to take pause so that you can intentionally move forward?
Well, one of the biggest things that I did this past couple of months was I did take a little backseat to what I do on social media, and especially in January, because let's face it, that did take up quite a bit of my time. I took a little pause from that. I was not absent from social media, but I normally have a schedule that I follow, a distribution schedule. I'm going to post, certain things on certain days. And I kind of backed off a little bit. During that time, I was actually able to re-examine what I was doing on social media and said to myself, like, this is just too much. Like, it's overkill. In my mind, it was anyway. Of course, I still want to be present every day. That's something that I do for my business. That's something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy the interaction and all of that, but it was just way too much. I mean, that was just one little example. But I did take some time to back off of that to get some more clarity on that. I just changed the way my daily routine is. I get up and I go for a walk every morning. Then I come back, I enjoy my cup of coffee. I just have some peace in my life before I start my day versus hopping out of bed and getting right to it. So that's really helpful. It starts my day off on a good note for sure. And during that coffee break, I can look out at the view, whatever that is for whoever. You can enjoy your space quietly and peacefully and just let the thoughts flow. It's
Oh my
very
God.
helpful.
So that's so, I don't know. I love the word profound because it's so simple. It's so simple and yet it's not easy to do.
It's not. It's like a
It,
habit. You have to just
yes.
do it until it becomes a habit.
Yes, like brushing your teeth or anything else that you do,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
it's really important and it has a lot to do with giving yourself permission
Yes.
to do that because I think we just have this ingrained in us that we have to continue to hustle all the time. Hustle, hustle,
Yeah.
hustle, move, 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 produce, produce, produce. And when we're sort of sitting in silence or enjoying a cup of coffee or the view or allowing your brain to think, somehow we see that as not being very productive.
Right. And honestly, it makes me feel more productive because once I'm ready to go, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm mentally there. I have all my thoughts in order. I know what I have to do for the day and I can just, get it done. There's just less confusion, more clarity, and that's what I do now on a daily basis. And that's like bringing the power of pause into, my whole life, not just the past couple of months, but in the past couple of months, I have just deliberately backed off of certain things so that I have the extra time. I've delegated certain things so that I have that extra time to really, really dig deep. So it's just about really making the time and doing it.
It's interesting because last week was school vacation week here in Massachusetts. And uh, one of the things that Carrie and we continue to remind each other is that we're in a growing business here, right? We're trying to grow Post and Beam, but we want to do it in a really very mindful, intentional way, not in a way that's going to kill us. And so one of the things we decided to do last week was take the afternoons off. So our kids were home. Neither of us had, plans to vacate anywhere else. And we said, let's just take the afternoons off. We won't have any meetings and, we'll reset, recharge, spend time with our kids, whatever it is. And it was a little uncomfortable for me at first. I felt like I was going to get caught doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing, there was a part of that. And then sort of as the week went on, I realized that time in the afternoon, when I wasn't having meetings, when I wasn't constantly checking email or on social media or on Zoom calls, like the ideas were like really brewing in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that, this week I actually had time and they were like right there. And I just wrote a bunch of ideas down that we want to implement or that we've been talking about wanting to implement, but we just haven't had the time to really think things through.
Mm-hmm.
So So yeah, I don't, yeah, it's like it's resisting that idea that we have to continue to hustle and produce, and allow ourselves the space to be more intentional, to be more mindful, to
Mhm.
be more thoughtful. And in the end, you're ultimately producing more.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because I feel like, digging deep and figuring all of that out, you're actually like giving your brain space to
Yeah.
breathe
Yeah.
and allow those thoughts to flow more easily. I mean, when you're constantly, on the run, I mean, it's just there's just too much going on there. You can't really think about what you're doing. You just go, go, go and do.
Yeah.
And, I've always done that until recently. And I don't feel my best when I'm doing that. I really don't. And I don't think that I'm producing my best
Yeah.
either when
Yeah.
I'm in that state.
What inspired you to start thinking this way and creating these new habits?
Um, it started with I have to say, I think it started with my word of the year
Mm-hmm.
pivot. I knew that there were a lot of things that I wanted to do differently and that I was planning to do differently. But how does that happen? When does that happen? I knew that I was coming to Florida and I was going to spend some time in Florida. And side note, I have still been working my New Jersey business. It is so doable. I mean, there is so much that we can do remotely now. I have somebody on the other end helping me if I need to be somewhere in person. And worst case scenario, it's a short plane ride away, right? But it's doable. And I gave myself that mindset, like I can do this no matter where I am, and I'm going to do this and I'm determined. But how do I do it? You need to sit down and take the time to figure it all out.
Mm-hmm.
So that you're intentional, you're not wasting time on things that don't require your time. You're not doing everything. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to be all things to everyone, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessary. Focus a little bit on yourself and figure out what it is that you need to be who you want to be, to live the life that you want to live, and to get where you want to be, professionally. You need to take that time to figure that out. So I guess knowing my what I wanted to do to pivot my life and my business, and knowing that I was going to be spending some time in Florida, delegating some of the things that I do to other people that I work with. I knew that it would be opening up an advantage to me to actually focus. Um, on what I want. And so that's what I did. So that's not to say that you need to go away in order to be able to do that. You need to, go somewhere else. I mean, you need to just find a quiet place, take a walk every day. I mean, even if you read a book, it sounds silly because you're not thinking when you're reading, but you're taking your brain away from the craziness.
Yeah.
Take some time and focus on yourself and figure out what you need.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds to me like it started with your goals, and it started with I mean, what you wanted out of life. Not just a business, simple business goal is, I want to sell this much, but it sounds like you wanted a certain lifestyle and you had certain business goals. And
Mhm.
in order to do that, you had the wherewithal to know that you needed to sit down and have a plan.
Yes.
And in, creating that plan, you were also inspired to change some of your daily habits to continue to be intentional about getting to where you want to go.
Absolutely. And funny that you said the word plan. I mean, it's definitely now ingrained into my business plan. Has to be.
Yeah.
It's not something that I'm going to do once and forget about. There's, habits that I want to carry throughout every day, but there's also that specific time to pause and reflect. And that has to be in my business plan. And I feel like the winter is a perfect time to do that. I mean, let's face it, the past few years have been busy with real estate, crazy, consistently for the most part, until recently, with such a big lack in, housing inventory, the higher mortgage rates, blah, blah, blah. But normally the wintertime, the dead of winter, January, February, things do quiet down a little bit, even though we still have business. Thank goodness. It's a perfect time to take the time to do this. Yeah. I mean, if you're a true professional realtor, like we all are, and your listeners, I'm sure, are, you're working every day. So what are you doing when business is a little bit slow? Right. Work on your mindset, work on, your goals, plan what you need to do to reach those goals, start gearing up for the new year, get your systems in place. I mean, the power of pause has led me to like this next phase. Like, let's get ready now. Let's get ready to have an amazing year. So, and it starts with, like I said before, digging deep and getting into your right space, knowing what you have to do. And then it just takes off.
That's
I think.
beautiful. Yeah, I think you're right. I again, it sounds easy. It sounds simple, but it's not easy, and you have to be, I think, committed to it. Mm-hmm. How were you able to, because I work with a lot of real estate agents who will hear what you just said and be so inspired by it, and then will go on with their day and just do what they always did, because it's just so easy to fall back into your old habits, your old routines, ticking off those boxes. I mean, we all do it. I do it as well. Getting back on the phone and like scrolling, like we all do it. So how were you able to find the discipline within yourself to actually make these changes and do these things that you needed to do to get down the path?
So that's a funny question, and I'll tell you why. As far as my daily routine goes and the habits that I want to build into my routine, I've always said, if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. Yeah. And it's true. I mean, I literally, if you open up my calendar, you will see in the morning, walk, read. Then what I'm going to do for the early part of my day as far as work goes. And I have a schedule. It's a repeating schedule every day. Now, we all know that in real estate, anything is bound to change at any time. So I just move things around when something else, has to happen. But I try to stick to my schedule as best as I can. Lunch at 12 o'clock. Even if I'm not eating lunch, I step away. Again, I might have something to do. Who knows? I mean, normally I want to take my lunch hour at 12 o'clock, but here we are today. Yep. So that changed, but it's okay. I'll just have lunch afterwards. But my point is, it's built into my day. I take the time out for myself to do whatever it is I need to do personally during that time. And then I start again at 1 o'clock, and everything is scheduled, and not every single day looks the same, but I try to do certain things on certain days. And when it comes to like my mental health and well-being, walking, reading, lunch, and whatever I do for exercise after work, it is built into my schedule and it lives there. It has to, or it's not happening.
That's great.
Yeah. And then I feel like eventually it becomes a habit, but it will still remain in my calendar. That's just the way I work.
Yeah. It's about prioritizing those things.
Yes. Yes. And it really is. And really choosing to treat everything like an appointment.
Yes.
And not deviating from that unless, you need to for some reason, unless you have a good reason to, not just because I don't feel like it today.
Right.
No. That doesn't work.
Okay. I love it. Okay. So before we wrap up, I do want to ask you, what kind of results have you seen from this? Personally, professionally? Like, is it too soon to tell?
No, it's not too soon. I actually feel more at peace with myself. I feel more like I have more direction in my business. I'm really excited for the new year. I've already implemented some changes that, have been a long time coming. So it's good. It makes me happy to see, my thought process coming to reality. My business is growing. I'm enjoying my life. I'm more intentional when it comes to spending time with my husband. I'm more focused. Same thing with my girls. I give them my attention now. Does that have to do with the fact that I'm away and I don't see them as much? Well, I do see them every day on FaceTime. We talk every day. We're a very tight knit family. I guess it's not the same as seeing them in person, but I try to, give them my 100% attention when I'm with them and when I see them. It just feels good. It just feels
Yeah.
good. I feel like I'm not wasting time on the things that are not important anymore. So clarity, direction, intention,
Yeah.
that's my motto. That's my new motto.
No, that's really, that's really nice to hear. It's really nice to hear. And I hope that people who are listening can really take it to heart, because I think you're a great example of somebody who just got really intentional and put a plan in place, stuck to it, is sticking to it, and you're seeing great results and a lot more balance in your life.
Yeah, listen, I don't want life to happen to me. I want to happen to life.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make it happen the way that is best for me. And I think we have the power to do that. We definitely do. I mean, I feel like too many people let life just pass them by without reaching their true potential or being exactly what they want to be. I think anything is possible, but you have to make it happen. And it starts with knowing what you need to do to get there. So how can you do that if you don't take the time to think about it?
To pause.
Right?
All right. Well, on that note, within all of that, what are the top 3 things you would want anybody listening today to take away?
Number one, you need to be intentional with your time. That's been the common thread throughout this whole conversation. But you have to be intentional with your time. You can't be all things to all people. Like I said before, you need to zero in on what's most important. So figure out how to do that and get it done.
Okay.
Yeah, that leads me into number two, like take the time to figure it out. You can't constantly be on the run. You need to take the time to figure it out and tell yourself it's okay to take a break. Schedule the time in your calendar if you need to, and just do it. And number three, be okay with it. Be okay with letting go of things that don't serve you anymore. Be okay with surrounding yourself with the people that you feel best with. Be okay with doing things that lift you up. Don't feel guilty. There's no guilt in putting things aside that aren't working for you anymore.
Yeah.
And people, I mean, not everyone is meant to be in your life forever. Everyone, everything brings us to the next phase, to the next big thing.
Yeah.
So focus on that and be okay with it.
That's awesome. Finish this sentence. Know, like, trust is.
Didn't I create this sentence? Didn't I create this prompt at the end of the podcast? Finish this sentence. Know, like, and trust begins with you. You have to know, like, and trust yourself first. And you'll radiate that to the universe and everything else will come.
That's my word of the year, radiate.
Yes. Oh. I didn't even think of that, but yes, it is. That's great.
Oh
I
my
love it.
goodness. Remind everybody where they can find you.
So my favorite place right now to hang out is Instagram. I love Instagram. It's just so much fun. So you can find me at Betti Russo on Instagram. Check out my feed, check out my stories. I love sharing stories there. You can find me on Facebook at Betti Russo and North Jersey Lifestyle. That's my business page. And I am on YouTube. I do a weekly video show that you already know about, Christine. And um, it's fun. I have a lot of fun sharing some great real estate and community information over there. So Betti Russo on YouTube.
Awesome. I love you, friend. Thanks for coming
I
back.
love you too. This was so much fun. I'm so happy to be back. I can't wait for our next one.
I know we're back in like, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. I can't
Yeah.
remember, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to that. So,
Me
so great to
too.
see you. We'll be talking because we do.
Yes, of course. Probably later or tomorrow.
Probably later. And everyone who's listening, thank you so much for listening. If you like our little podcast, please share it with your friends. Give us a 5-star review. Click that subscribe button and leave us a comment if you're watching or you've seen the replay. And I guess that's it for now. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thanks,
Have a
Betti.
great day. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.